Hey there. Okay, so I found this cute little wooden panel at Walmart actually, and I love how it has this kind of floating frame look. So I'm going to give it 2 coats of black paint. This is DIY paint in the color Little Black Dress. I will give it 2 coats just to make sure it has good coverage. This is a clay-based chalk style paint, and it pretty much covers anything. And so once that dries, I'm gonna come in and do a raised stencil relief. Now this is a stencil, it's called Wildflower. It's by Mutteritaville. I will put a link in the description in case you want to try it yourself. And here I'm using a basting spray actually. I found this in Hobby Lobby. In the fabric department. So you do want to make sure that it says non-permanent and repositional, and I like to spray the back of my stencils, especially if they're really have these really small intricate pieces like this one does. So when you spray it with this type of repositional adhesive, it will fit snugly onto your surface, and that way when you are painting, or in this case I'm going to be using some paste, some like modeling paste, it helps that not to seep up under the stencil, so you'll get a really nice definition of your design. So I'm just going to press that down, especially around all the little areas, and make sure it is nice and tight against my board. Now I'm taking this gold crystal paste by Paint Couture, and it's like a modeling paste, but it's a little bit heavier. It has a texture to it. It's not smooth. It's kind of crusty like, and it has these gold flakes, these like, it may even be like mica powders or glass glitter even, but it sparkles, and so it's really pretty. And what you want to do when you're using a paste like this, something heavier, you want to put it on the first coat. You want it to be kind of thin, okay, and you want to rub it into your or onto your surface just to make sure it adheres, you know, that it is on your surface. I like to have a kind of a thick, like a 3D effect with this paste. And so once you get it, again, once you kind of scrape it on, I just make sure I'm not hard, but I'm scraping it onto the board lightly with this palette knife. And then once I make sure that I have covered my entire design, I will go back and just add more on the top, and that's what's going to make it raised looking and give you that 3D look. And so once I actually used it all, so once you have it nice and thick and raised, you're going to just start at the top and pull your stencil slowly off. And then the stencil is reusable. This will clean off. You want to kind of scrape it off, but see how well that design looks, and it does have that 3D effect. I just love it. So I'm going to set that over to the side. That will dry and harden. And here's the one that I did earlier. It has dried. It is now hard. It did shrink just a little bit, and it changed to like a brighter gold. So I'm going to pour resin over the center part, and here I have a cup. I have marked it so that I can use my part A. This is epoxy resin. This is the Amy Howard brand. I have I think I marked 2 and 2 ounces. So I'm going to pour this part A up to the first line, and it's real. This is this is a very important step in the resining process. You want to make sure you get equal portions of your part A and your part B. So that's very important. And so you want to get, I like to get eye level down to my cup just to make sure, because when you're standing up, that line tends to move. So when you get down and look at it eye level, you can tell that you are right on that line. And so now I'm going to take the part B and I'm going to make sure again that I come up to the next line, because I have measured. I actually poured water in the cup and measured the first line, and then I poured the same amount of water into the cup to come up to the and draw the next line. Now, of course, you can use cups or silicone cups and other plastic cups that are marked, that have the measurements on there. I just, for some reason, didn't have a clean one at the moment, and I had already marked this cup, so that's why I'm using that. Now, this is another important step. You want to stir and mix this up really well. Stir for like 3 minutes at least. Each resin has its own instructions, and so you want to make sure to follow those. You want to stir slowly. You want to scrape the sides of your cup, and you want to scrape the bottom of your cup as you're mixing. But 3 minutes is usually a good time. You can, stir up to 4 minutes, and then you should be good to start using. Now I decided to tape off this in middle part because it does have that little inset area, and I tend to be a little heavy-handed with my resin. So here I'm gonna just really drizzle it out with my stick. I usually just pour the resin out, but that's where I tend, you don't need a lot of resin. So again, I tend to be a little heavy-handed, so I thought if I just drizzled it out, that would help me not, get so much on there. And then I'm going to actually just use the stick to spread around and bring the resin to the edges. And I will take this tape off, after it has set a few minutes. You don't want to wait until your resin cures to remove your tape, because it could pull some of your resin off with it. I'm going to use my heat gun here to pop any bubbles. You could also use a torch, and you could also use some rubbing alcohol. Just put it in a little spritzer bottle and lightly spritz and pop any bubbles. It will not affect the resin. But see how that looks like glass? See the reflection? And that is how it will cure. It will cure clear like that. So now I'm back to the one that I did at the beginning of the video. I was just going to show you how I'm going to treat the little frame area. Here I am using a DIY wax, just in clear, and I'm lightly rubbing this on. You really want to wait till your paint is good and dry before you start adding any wax or top coat, just because this paint tends to reactivate when it's when you use any kind of liquid. So just make sure it's good and dry, and then I'm going all the way around with a little I use this as a wax brush. You can get them at the Dollar Tree, but you do want to use a clear wax before you use any kind of colored wax. Here I'm going to be using gold. It's called Golden Rule by DIY. And the reason you want to use the clear wax first is so you can get a good, so you can manipulate your colored wax. You can get it on there and wipe it back. You can use your finger like I'm doing here and just lightly rub some on. And then you can wipe it back with a little soft cloth. You can wipe off as much as you want, or just leave. You can add more if you tend to wipe off too much. But here's where you can just play around with it, see how much you like. I tend to like a lot of the gold, and so I added a lot. But this gold is really pretty, it's really subtle, and it tends to match the crystal paste pretty well. So, you know, there are a lot of different color golds, different shades of gold, and so I thought these two really worked well together. I do carry these DIY products on my website, and I will put the link in the description. And so I'm going all the way around. I'm using here. I'm just using it's a torn T-shirt, and I'm just using that to rub my wax on, and I just love it. I love how this is coming out. And so again, here is our piece that I did before with the resin, and again I will take the tape off in just a little while, and there you go. I really love how this turned out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.